Who am I? Just a guy who likes to keep a strict schedule. 300 days of the year, I get paid sacks of money by sacks of shit to do scary things to people on the margins of the supernatural. 60 days of the year, well, I pick an unfortunate town and my friend Giggles comes out to play. Nighttime playgrounds become death traps. Drunks enter dark alleys and never come out. All that good stuff. The other 5 days a year. What? I don't deserve a vacation? Giggles is a curse passed down in my family from generation to generation. Most of us just go crazy from the guilt or the daily hell of intrusive thoughts. Find some train to jump in front of and pass it on. But by the time it was my turn, on my 25th birthday, I had a surprise waiting for old Giggles. It found itself sitting deep in the mind and soul of someone who didn't see it as a hindrance, didn't see it as an albatross. No. By that time in my life, my hands were so red with blood of the innocent, they acted as a beacon to those who needed a broken mind and a missing conscience. I'd already started my career killing or guarding the sad members of the population smart enough to find the monsters under the bed, but not smart enough to just run away from them. Why do I keep it around when I have ample resources to find someone to slice it from my body like a tumor? Call it the devil's luck, but I found myself patched up after some serious setbacks at work. No one around that didn't want me dead. Maybe it's Giggles, maybe not. But I'm not one to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm here to tell you about the 1 year that I broke my strict schedule. What could it take for someone of my fortitude to compromise their ideals? A higher ideal, one with much more importance than avoiding the law or satiating that tickling nag in my head that tells me to kill something, anything. Being a clown, of course. Do not speak if you think I'm talking about those idiots at child's parties. That's copied garb and bad life decisions. Nor the disgusting droves of people, for some reason, painting their faces, living a clown lifestyle. A clown is a profession. It has requirements. It always has and always will. If you do not have your face on an egg in France, you are not a clown. I am a killer. I am a clown. That is the one way that combination should go. And throughout history, the one thing that can get under my skin are those who don't understand this. They all found out, no matter what the news tells you. All of the clown-themed murderers. I saw those heretical fools breathe their last breath. Who wants to die? I say to no one, pacing my rat's nest of a home. I'd been following the news. Creepy clown sightings everywhere. Not normally something I bother to care about. I can't logically go around killing every juggalo and prankster. Unfortunately. But this felt different. These pictures were looking different. Sure, there were the hoaxes, but some of those faces, they looked tattooed or dyed even. The thought of thinking ink could replace makeup alone. Maddening. But when the first murder happened, I knew I needed to step in. It was late August, the room stifling, easily over 100 degrees. But I pace and jump in rage, knowing what I need to do. It took longer than expected to find a pattern, then wait till things lined up and insert myself into the situation. It was a little after 11 o'clock and the bonfire roared, illuminating an open field. A couple dozen people from the surrounding campground milled about, drunk enough not to notice my 6.5-foot self arrive from the tree line. I wear a pair of loose jeans, an oversized t-shirt, and a black baseball cap. Brim pulled low, hiding most of my face in the flickering firelight. Unfortunately, a lot of playtime with a lot of dangerous people have left me with some recognizable features. I'm not here to harm these folks, if that's what you're thinking. But I knew something else was. I'm impressed when they walk out of the tree line. 4 of them, dressed in dollar store mockery, so generic they make me want to spit. They couldn't have been too far behind me, but didn't make a noise. They are blank-faced, hands grasping, costumes catching and tearing on the brush. I sink into the crowd. As I said, I'm just a guy. If these things turn into werewolves or something, I'm out. They will get what's coming to them when I can afford to buy someone who can actually do it. Some laughter, a joke, a muscle-bound farmer takes a swing. I watch the clowns shed blood, and they do it with gusto. Limbs torn from bodies, gaping bites torn from screaming throats. At first, I think the wailing they produce as they kill is random, faulty wiring and a damaged mind. But when I stop to listen, "Help us! I can't stop! Run!" and other such statements. Clowns spouting depressing nonsense. Fucking shameful. Doubly so in uniform. The cowards run, and the heroes, or the stupid, stay and fight. When I see a small, lean woman kill one with an axe, I decide this may be a job I can handle. Not that she could, killed from behind by a lanky thing in stained, green-striped hobo garb. In case you are wondering why I'm not dressed in my own uniform. Why would I be? If I worked at McDonald's, should I be wearing the golden arches? A person can be 2 things, you know. I wrenched the axe out of the dead clown's head, immediately burying it into the back of a rotund creature trying to make a double amputee out of someone's hip uncle. I put the axe under his chin. 2 more people die before I talk. You aren't going to let this affect your opinion of clowns, are you? I ask, having a little fun with the situation. He shakes his head, watching me dispatch the last 2 of these homunculi, both too engrossed in committing violence to notice it happening to them. I went to grim work on the corpses and found they only barely resembled humans, mostly just undifferentiated meat dyed almost clown colors, wrapped around a central nervous system. I stalked the massacres, sometimes stopping them, sometimes recording the bloodbath to watch, figuring out more and more about these things, their origins. It became an obsession. But whatever, obsession is kind of my thing, if you haven't noticed. And that's how I found myself in the Alaskan field, so remote, the bunker door sticking up from the solid ground wasn't guarded, nor hidden. It was locked. But if I couldn't pick a lock, I'd never have made it far in my line of work. The murder, not the clowning. I close the door, and the staircase leads down, seemingly infinitely. The air is cool and damp. The only light, flickering bulbs. I'm armed, in a conventional sense. Even after a couple decades doing what I do, I still haven't been able to afford any of the really fun toys floating around the world. There is movement. Not in front of me, but above me. Whatever it is assumes I don't notice. I walk for nearly an hour, catching the odd glimpse of the 6-limbed, yellow polka-dotted creature with the slack jaw tracking me from above. When I see the harsh light of the room below, I pull an automatic pistol. Don't ask me the model, not the kind of information I tend to retain. It feels heavy in my right hand. The long serrated blade in my left feels light. Ready to set this desecration right. The room is neither lab nor altar, but something in between. I was expecting blood sacrifice and rusted metal piping, but the clean slate of the place, and the holy nature of the imagery and objects within, screwed up a curious grin on my face. I check my watch. I put down the thick hood of my jacket, seeing a small man, and behind him, rows upon rows of people in clean, lucite cages. The tiny eyes behind his thick-rimmed glasses bulge as I bury my knife in the ceiling creature's skull, wrenching it out in a spray of gore. It was almost silent, but almost is a word that gets things killed. Explain, I say, wiping the blade. walking toward him, teeth clenched with rage.
I thought I'd found it. I thought I'd found a way to infuse humanity with the divine. I've seen monsters, things I can't physically describe with any sense of accuracy. They walk among us, they kill at will, and creating soldiers. They just need some refinement, and getting closer every time. Now they seem to be stuck finding families with dark histories. But soon...
I interrupt the little pig man with a burst of gunfire. Oh, I don't care about all of that. Why clowns? I say, inches from an insane turtle-looking fellow.
What? Isn't it obvious? Everyone loves clowns. Making them look inviting was the easy part.
His reply gets a laugh from me that lasts long enough I think about letting him go about his business. The man is insane, whatever he is doing. He's doing it for reasons that have long since cut ties with logic and reason. I'd almost be impressed if I wasn't offended. No one has thought a clown is inviting for about 100 years. It's a lost art form, you little weirdo. Either way, though, I'm not going to ask you if you have any last words like a walking cliche. I aim the gun at his face as I talk.
Attack!
The tiny man says. As all around me, the floors, ceiling, walls, his clown things begin to appear. It doesn't help him any. His face evaporates a half second after he says this. But I can do nothing but sprint into the bowels of the facility, chased by the pleading, begging voices of my pursuers. I try to turn and fight. The gun gets torn from my hand, flying beside two of my fingers down a dark industrial hallway. There's just too many. No time or space to mount an offense. I gain a lead, but I can do nothing but engage in a brutal game of cat and mouse. Each time I'm found, I lose blood or bone, barely managing to scramble away with my life. But all bad things must come to an end. And as I reach a brick-walled corridor, no crossroads to take, I look back and see my end. They're packed so tightly it's like one organism. Dozens of twisted, clown-painted faces, hundreds of misshapen, clawed limbs. I hit the ground, pain and blood loss bringing me low, as this horde of carnival horror begins to loom over me, only feet away. Just in time, I say through broken teeth, missing a good portion of my tongue. 12:01 a.m., September 1st, the dial reads. For the first and only time, Giggles let me have a little look while he started his thing. Trapped as he was, he had no choice to stalk innocent prey. The violence I saw made me jealous in a primal way. Kind of silly considering that in 60 days, I'm dead. As I said, I'm just a guy. Curses aren't superpowers, and while Giggles could patch me up here and there, there's no patching up the torn organs, shredded veins, or cracked skull I had accumulated in my fight. Once he's done this season, he'll find another poor sap with the last name Lawrence, and the cycle continues. But he gave me one last message, one little favor for someone who was almost a friend. No need to thank me for getting rid of those clowns, by the way. They had it coming.